Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. I am your host, Michael Karvelis, and this is Daily Dive. It is Friday, November the 14th, 2025. This show begins now. We are live streaming via the airwaves of North American Talk Radio on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe before you leave today. On today's awesome show, we're going to first talk about Austin Staats being reinstated to the National Lacrosse League. The decision making that probably had to go into it, and what's next for the Seals, etc. I'll then talk about the Mitch de Snoo situation, how the contract with the franchise tag is interesting, including an update from Paul Day, the Lacrosse Classified. And finally, I'll unveil my 9th-ranked NLL team, aka the final team that will miss the playoffs, in my opinion. That is what we're going to talk about today. Before we get started, I want to let you know that this show is presented by the Event Tickets tab at the Natter website. Head to natalkradio.com and click the Event Tickets tab today. There you can search for your favorite National Lacrosse League team. And since you are on YouTube, I've also helped you out a little bit more by giving you a link at the bottom of the description. It's a pretty short description, just talking about the topics. At the end of that, there's a link that'll take you straight to it as well. Again, search for your favorites National Lacrosse League team or just nearest you. Alrighty. Let's first talk about the Austin Staats situation. Okay. Yesterday, Adam Levy and IL Indoor did reports, and the NLL confirmed that Austin Staats has been reinstated to the National Lacrosse League. Now, this is a difficult subject to talk about. I will do my best to tell you my feelings and the reality of things, in my opinion. Last time on the field that we saw Austin Staats, I was talking about him being not happy with the way that he went after a defenseless Albany player. The video of that is disturbing, considering it happened in the confines of a playing field. I get the sport has fights, but that one felt queasy to watch. Then he got the legal issues, and this time it involved assault of a woman, allegedly. I remember last year, I was one of the first to report from the lacrosse media world that this was happening, and then others did get a hold of more information. We saw a screenshot of the article talking about the charges and stuff. And we had not heard much until the Seals, I believe back in August, they offered him a qualifying offer plus, I believe is the terminology. Now, I want to first say, I'm sure he's gotten some, but I hope he continues to get mental help. I do want to say that I know way too much about this situation, more than even what the articles say. And I know it's a very awful situation with the legality stuff. We know the NLL, in part of their statement to IL Indoor, was saying something along the lines of, based on the evidence they had, etc. But I will say that if he does play again, I will analyze and evaluate accordingly again on the field. Because I'm not an officer in the moral police department. And quite frankly, none of us are. I know even a player who I will not name, I know you can see it on Twitter, it's open, but there's a player, I'm sure other players might do it, from the NLL that calls it embarrassing. I think if you were a player in the National Lacrosse League, I'm not sure if that's the route you want to take, because I know from the PA side of things, the NLLPA might not want that out there, especially from one of their young stars. Again, I am not of the moral police department because this is a sports show. I am not a judge of law, and nor am I perfect. Again, I do not like talking about it, the off the field stuff. I think when media members, and shout out to you if you do, I don't think it's right when sports media members try to play the moral police game. I think if we are sports reporters and or analysts, I think we should leave it at that. If you dabble in law, good for you. I'm not in this thing, which is, again, like I know a lot of people think I am. I'm not in this thing for clicks. And even though, technically speaking, being in sports media, you do want clicks, I'm not going to play the good guy, bad guy thing because, again, nobody's perfect. I also know that people who deal with addiction, and again, it's not an excuse for what he did, but people who deal with stuff like that are way more than demons than a lot of people deal with, they need help. And so, again, I'm going to keep this on the field. We know that when Austin Staats is healthy, not to diminish anything he's done or anyone he's hurt, we know he's a 100-point scorer in the National Lacrosse League. So, again, if the Seals do plan on keeping him, or however the qualifying offer stuff works for another team, I will evaluate accordingly, and we will take the facts as they come. But for now, none of us, as far as I know, watching the show, or even on the show, were in that courtroom. We're in the investigation process. So again, for the last time, I'm going to leave it alone. Again, if he plays, I will evaluate accordingly. But I will not use this moment to suddenly talk about the San Diego Seals and what I think their preview is. I'm also not going to use this moment to say, oh, well, what team would he be good for, like, playing for right now? Because I understand the PR of things, and I understand that right now it's not appropriate. There's a lot of people who are not very happy about this. And again, it's uncomfortable. So I will let time pass and reevaluate when we hear more about if he goes to an active roster. At that point, again, I will keep it on the field. But that is my takeaway. I appreciate people who ask for my opinion. I appreciate the people that recently and even last year helped me gather what was going on. But again, because it's so sensitive right now, I'm going to wait until he's added to an active roster, and then I'll react accordingly. But this is a sports show in the end, and that's what it's going to continue to be. But Austin Staats, the reality of things right now is he has been reinstated to the National Lacrosse League. We will see how this unfolds. Alrighty, folks, when we come back, okay, we're back. We're going to talk about Mitch de Snoo's contract situation. A little bit lighter of a subject, I would assume. But Paul Day has weighed in via Lacrosse Classified, and it was actually pretty good what he said about Mitch de Snoo, but gave some light. So we'll get to the Adam Levy article about that and what Paul Day said on Lacrosse Classified. You're watching Daily Dive. Don't go anywhere. I know you won't.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
We're back live here on Daily Dive, the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talks on the planet. I'm your host, Michael Karvelis. Thank you so much for tuning in. A reminder to scroll to the bottom of the YouTube description for the event tickets link. There again, you will see tickets to the National Lacrosse League. Just type in your favorite team. Whoop-a-bam! You're welcome for that. So now let's get to our second topic, which is the Mitch de Snoo. I don't know why I do that. Situation. I'm kidding. Oh, Lordy. Let's do it. Now, this one's another one that's tough to tackle. It's a little bit more easy on the mind, though. So, I hate ads. This is on, I don't know why. Okay, so Steven Stamps said this on Monday, October 27th. Steven Stamp wrote this on IL Indu. Yeah, on Inside the Cross, whatever. It says, "Is Mitch a wing? De Snoo challenges the franchise tag." All right. Basically, the article was saying that the NLLPA, the Players Association, has filed a grievance on behalf of Mitch de Snoo, arguing that he is not bound to the Philadelphia Wings under the franchise tag designation. The grievance will be adjudicated and a decision rendered, hopefully in time to avoid having de Snoo miss any of the upcoming season. On August 28th, the Philadelphia Wings offered Mitch de Snoo the franchise tag. Update, the Wings have retained the rights to Mitch de Snoo. The root of the issue, again, according to Steven Stamp's article, from a perspective of the PA, is that there was no collective bargaining agreements in place. Remember that? On August 28th, when the Wings offered the tag, says de Snoo's agent, Elliot Sachucci. Wow, that's a great name. That's a great name. Sorry, sir. In effect, Elliot, I'll call him, says that you cannot apply a franchise tag under a CBA that does not actually exist. That's a great agent, sir. So now let's get to, I'm not going to play the audio here. I'm not sure how copyrighted this is, but I'm going to read you kind of, in a way, what the Lacrosse Classified got into. If I can find it again. Holy smoking. Oh, yeah. So Dawson Nielsen tweeted out basically saying Paul Day touched on de Snoo's situation on the Lacrosse Classified podcast. De Snoo's work commitments heavily restrict where he can actually play, which narrows this down to just two legitimate options. The Toronto Rock, which is his former team, or the Buffalo Bandits. So apparently Paul Day chimed in, and I will again try to read this a little bit without letting you hear it. I'm getting to it. After August 1st, 4 or 5 players were franchised in the National Lacrosse League. Over 40 players were qualified. Blah, blah, blah. It's an arbitration issue. There's a lot of stuff there. Basically, I love that Dawson Nielsen summed that up for us in the tweet. Thank you, sir. He's coming on the show soon, by the way. Not today, but whatever. They also are releasing their first episode of Loose Mesh. Again, shout out to Dawson Nielsen. But I wasn't like Mitch de Snoo the one who was actually got the doctor qualification a year or two ago. Remember, like, that Dr. de Snoo thing? I do, and this is not me knowing things. I'm just saying I do have to wonder out loud if it's a doctor thing, regardless of what it is. We do know that Mitch de Snoo has a work obligation, as most guys in the league do, unfortunately. So I do hope that we see Mitch de Snoo this season, and just some stats for him last year or just in his career. Every single time I do this show, there it goes. I was going to say, we're not doing this again. But Mitch de Snoo, last season had 6 points, 96 loose balls, 14 caused turnovers and 3 blocks in just 7 games, by the way. He's been in the league since 2016. Mitch de Snoo played. Oh, he played with. I didn't realize. See, this is how slow I am. When I first entered the Daily Dive in 2022, he was with the Rock. He actually played with the Bandits before that, and in his career, actually has 48 goals, 137 points, 1,200 loose balls, 229 caused turnovers, and 67 block shots. Boy, legend in the game. And again, he's 33. Wow. He also, his hometown is Oshawa, but I'm assuming he works more in New York area. I'm not sure how close Oshawa is, but again, according to the Dawson Nielsen tweet and what Paul Day said, it seems like work strikes again. I can't stand it, but again, I cannot tell you how much I'm happy that players like de Snoo are willing to bust their butt on the playing field. But I also, based on where he can work, I would assume he's going to miss more than just like I don't. Does he play 18 games? Again, thinking out loud here, if he's limited to where he can work and can only work in Buffalo or Toronto, it seems to me like if he goes to one of those teams, he's playing 9 games this year. Wow. Again, the work situations suck in this league, but that's what happens when we don't have a media deal. It is what it is. And there's also, unlike the WNBA had, we don't, like the players, I don't believe, have a bunch of lacrosse leagues they can play in Europe that'll pay them more. It would be nice. It's not right now, as far as I know. Also, there is another thing that came to the pipeline yesterday from Frick about Chris Origlieri. We had heard about that, and he said the streets, the word from hashtag the streets is O-Rig will be back for the last week of camp to start the year. Now, I also want to give Frick enough credit because he, again, starting this regular season, he will be on every Monday. Frick also did clarify a report that I had 2 weeks ago. Frick's words were Randy Staats should be good to go right before or just after the change of the year. I had reported after Christmas. Yeah, boy, gets another one right. We also have a comment. But yeah, I got another thing right, which means I get one of these. Yes, I earned that one. Dawson says Frick's a beauty. And again, speaking of beauties, and not to be weird, Dawson, I will say it again, sir. You are doing the Lord's work over there whenever you say that, like, whenever you summed up what Paul Day said. Thank you for that. It helps people like me who don't understand a lot of that stuff. But yeah. And again, Dawson's coming on the show very soon, and they are releasing the Loose Mesh podcast. There's already been some clips. You can also listen to it on Spotify. It's been fun. I watched a good bit of it, or listened to a good bit of it. I've been trying to listen to more. I ran out of time yesterday. I'm sorry. But Dawson will come on the show in, let's just say, a few days. Yeah. All right, folks, this is Daily Dive. We have one more segment to go. It's my final team that I don't think is going to make the playoffs. Not too shocking, but based on some players they have, it might be. Daily Dive will conclude next. Thanks so much for watching. Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sports book, Click on your bet and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
So the worst part about Hype Up Month on Daily Dive is it's a long process sometimes. And while next week's schedule does have some more guests and it also has some more team rankings for me, unfortunately, it's still another week without lacrosse. But 2 weeks from today, the NLL, much like the Calgary Roughnecks Red, the NLL is back. We are so close. We are so stinking close. Dawson Nielsen also said, of course, big guy. Thank you so much for the shout out. There's some good pieces. Mitch stories you've never heard of. That's like from they had Mitch Jones on the show. We're still waiting for the video to drop, but Spotify it is for now. But we need that video ASAP, my friend. All right, so far I've addressed the Austin Staats situation being reinstated to the NLL. As always, I will chop these up for singular segments so you can watch it as it is. I also talked about Mitch de Snoo contract franchise tag thing with the work. Does he only play 9 games? I don't know. And of course, my 9th ranked team. Oh, we haven't done the one yet. Let's do it now. Okay. Let's be real, folks. These teams will not make the NLL playoffs according to my predictions.
How dare you?
I understand. That's the last of the sound bites today. I'll be honest. All right, so far, here is where we've gotten. The Calgary Roughnecks were my 14th ranked team, finishing with a record of 3-15. Again, I hope they add Holden Catoni. I don't know. I hope he'll have a team this year for crying in the sink. I don't have a soundbite for crying, but anyways, I might have to get one actually. I have Calgary Roughnecks finishing 3-15. Philadelphia Wings 5-13. I don't know how they squeak out 5 wins. I am guessing Nick Damutis. I mean, he's always been pretty good. Again, I don't much like Aiden Walsh. He's not great, but he's reliable. He's consistent. But I think they finished 5-13. Brandon O'Neill breakout season and Joe Rez 60-goal season on the way. Number 12. I know Origlieri still might play. Or still is going to play. Sure, great. Not buying it. Sorry. Even if he does play, I don't see this team being awesome. I love Wesley Berg. I don't mind the addition of Connor Robinson. I think this team lost a lot. And someone on the Instagram of Daily Dive at Daily Dive LAX, I do want to get to this. Someone mentioned, here it is. His name is Ross the Fan SD. He says Seals being 4th worst is a wild take. The majority of the team is back, and they shed a combined 110 years. I guess he means like Jesse Gamble and Cam Holding. Sure. I'm still going with the Seals finishing 12th. All right. I also mentioned Halifax Thunderbirds finish 11th with a 7-11 record. I do believe of the top 4 teams from last year, Halifax is the one that could drop. It's not a big drop because, as you'll find out very soon, teams that make or miss the playoffs in my predictions were kind of, right there. So 7-11 is not a bad record. I think they missed the cut. All right. Wow. Water. Oh, it's right there beside me. The Ottawa Black Bears, I mentioned yesterday, would finish 7-11 with finishing 10th in the NLL. I think Jeff Teaton and the crew and Dan McCray, more specifically, are 1 year away. And now we get to my 9th ranked team who will not make the playoffs. I think this team finishes 8-10. I think their goalie could steal 5 or more games. And I still believe, even if they add Jack Hanna, the Colorado Mammoth, finishing 8-10, will miss the playoffs. I remember like when I first started watching the National Lacrosse League, the Colorado Mammoth were a team that could shock people. Like, let me get to this real quick. Like in 2022, okay, so the end of 2022, I believe they won the championship. And coming into the year, I had heard about that. I had understood that they shocked a few teams. I understood they, I believe, beat the Buffalo Bandits or whatever. And I also knew that Dane Smith had not won a championship. And then I started the show. Colorado lost the championship. And what have they done the last 2 years? Missed the playoffs. Andrew Q certainly helps. I think Zed Williams is a big loss still. I think they'll still haunt them. I think that the Mammoth, again, you're relying on Dylan Ward, and Colorado's one of like 3 or 4 teams in the league with a definitive home field advantage, not just because of where they're located, which is not terrible, but because they are so stinking loud every night, okay? Colorado has that at their disposal. They also averaged 9,800 fans last year. Unfortunately, those numbers are dropping. I'm not going to talk about the stability of the league, of the Mammoth. I'm just saying, before COVID, they were 11,000 was their worst, and now it's like 8,200, 9,900, 10,000. Last year, 9,800. I'm hoping they crack the 10,000 plus average again, but I'm just saying, oh, and then you go, Will Malcolm still battling injuries for the Mann Cup, which makes me not feel better because I love Will Malcolm. I just think that they're going to be right there and miss the playoffs. In fact, folks, I will unveil this. The 2 teams in front of them, I will reveal on Monday and Tuesday, also finish with an 8-10 record on my rankings. But the Mammoth lost the tiebreak based on the games that I predicted. Wow. So again, Thunderbirds again finished 11th with a 7-11 record. As to the Black Bears, Mammoth are 8-10, and my 7 and 8 seed literally are going to have an 8-10 record. But Colorado loses the tiebreak. I did the math. I looked up what Graham Perro said. I forgot which website it was, but he broke it down back in March, I believe, how this tiebreak stuff works. I do the math. Colorado just misses the beats, okay? Again, Monday, we'll begin my playoffs. Wow. And like I said, full disclosure, the team on Monday is 8-10. All right, folks. I know there was no guest today. I still think we had fun. A big story for sure. And also, I had wanted to talk about the Mitch de Snoo thing for a bit. And now that Paul Day commented and shed more light, and Dawson Nielsen helped summarize it in a tweet, we now could talk about it. And so the Philadelphia Wings are going to lose another good player, which means 5-13 is definitely on the board. All righty. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you Monday with a guest. I believe Tuesday has a guest as well. We have, again, more guests next week. We're going to keep our predictions, talk about whatever's relevant. This is a sports show, specifically NLL discussion, news, and interviews. You guys have a great rest of your weekend. The answer to MJG79, I do not know yet. Actually, hold on. I might be able to do this for you. I believe I actually got that information a couple of weeks ago. Give me a second here, because you asked. Okay, so I believe, and again, you're welcome for this. The NLL Plus preseason schedule, as far as I know, tomorrow at 7 o'clock Eastern is the Mammoth and the Rock. And tomorrow at 9 o'clock Eastern, Seals and the Warriors. I don't know if they've announced that, but I feel like they have not announced that yet. I'm pretty good at this. I don't like reporting, but I don't mind reporting stuff like that. Have a great rest of your day, guys. This has been Daily Dive. See you next week. Bye.